Let's pay our respects to the Buddha before we proceed.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Pay homage to the triple gem.
Arahan samma sambuddho bhagava buddham bhagavantam abhivademi. Swakato bhagavata dhammo dhamman namasami. Supatipano bhagavato sanwakasanho sangham namami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Tatyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Tatyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Let's take the 5 precepts. Pāṇātipāta viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Adinādāna viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Kāmesu miccacara viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Musāvāda viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Surameraya majjapamadatthana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Recollection of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho. Vijjacārana sampano sugato lokavidu. Anuttaro purisa dhammasarati. Satta deva manusanam buddho bhagavati. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko ehipasiko opanaiko bacatam veditabo vinyuhiti. Supatipano bhagavato sāvaka-sangho. Ujjupatipano bhagavato sāvaka-sangho. Nyāyapatipano bhagavato sāvaka-sangho. Samicipatipano bhagavato sāvaka-sangho. Yadidam cattari purisa yugani. Atta purisa puggala esa bhagavato sāvaka-sangho. Ahuneyo pahuneyo dakineyo anjali karaniyo. Anuttaram puññā-khetam lokasati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. today we have Sister Sylvia Bay with us, and we will start a few minutes of meditation before we go to the topic of understanding meditation holistically.
We're going to do a bit of meditation first before we start the talk. I think it's necessary to calm down the mind a little before we do the hard lifting of learning the Dhamma. Okay, I would like everyone to first take a deep breath, sit comfortably, and keep your mind present, aware. So you sit back, relax, breathe in deep, close your eyes. Just close it for a short while, just do a few minutes. As you sit quietly and comfortably, bring your mind before you, in front of the face. Reflect on our good fortune of being able to sit in a comfortable position, in a quiet spot, able to enjoy a little quiet time. For those of you who have this opportunity, you are blessed. You have good fortune because you have opportunity to observe peace of mind. Feel the gratitude arise in you. Let the gratitude flow in your mind. Give thanks for the blessing that you now enjoy. As you feel gratitude, you should also experience a little joy, a sense of delight, pleasant sensation. If you feel joy and you feel delight, I want you to say in your mind, may all beings also have the opportunity to experience this joy. Wish all beings, seen, unseen, whatever sizes, whatever shapes, whatever realms of existence, the joy that you experience, share with all beings. May they all be well and happy. May they all experience kusala mind and experience happiness, security, peace. And by the good fortune and blessing, may they all share with others. Breathe in deep. Fill your system with the air and the joy that flows within. Take another deep breath. And slowly come out of the meditation. Actually, this is not a meditation, this is just a calming of the mind. And then we will start the talk. Okay? Okay. The topic today is understanding meditation holistically. I think meditation is a rather unusual, it's a fascinating subject, and many people are fascinated with it. There's just so much interest in meditation, and even for people who don't know anything about Dhamma, completely new to the Dhamma, they also want to know meditation. There is this curiosity about it. So many people would actually sign up for meditation classes, not knowing very much, and then they just plunge into the deep end, and go seek out teachers, go from one teacher to another. It's just constant fascination. And a lot of this has to do with all kinds of ideas about meditation. And this is from personal experience, listening to people, talking to students. There's all this fascination and all this curiosity. And very often, we find people actually not really knowing what they are doing. I mean, they attend classes and they go to teachers and they read books and some sign up for long-term courses and all. But somehow, there is a piecemeal understanding with meditation. So I decided that given all this fascination and all, I decided that I think it's necessary for people to have a holistic view, not to understand it in piecemeal, in parts, but holistically. Because only when you understand it properly, there is correct understanding, proper understanding, would you really be able to appreciate why you're doing something and how to do it better. Okay? Can we continue? Yeah. So, if you look at the board, can you scan, just do a quick scan of the board. I want you to see that I call this a meditation landscape. And in this meditation landscape, there is this black series of words here, black words, it runs all the way to the end, okay? So I want you to be aware, to just know that we're going to cover the talk this way, starting from here and ending with there, okay? There was a sutta, it's AN10, Anguttara Nikaya 10, What Purpose?, where Buddha and Ananda had a conversation. And Ananda was curious and asked the Buddha some questions about the practice. And Ananda asked the Buddha this, Bhante, why do we need virtues? Yeah? Why do we need virtues? And Buddha said, so that you can have no regrets. And then Ananda said, Bhante, why do we need to have no regrets? And the Buddha said, so that we have joy, pañña, joy. And then Ananda, not satisfied, went on again, Bhante, why do we need joy? And Buddha said, so that we can have piti, rapture. It's been translated as rapture. And then Ananda, still not satisfied, said, Bhante, why do we need rapture? Piti. And Buddha said, so that we can have tranquility, pasadi. Bhante, why do we need pasadi? Why do we need tranquility? Buddha said, so that we can have sukha. Sukha has been translated beautifully as bliss. Sometimes it's translated as happiness, okay? Bliss. Ananda then asked, Buddha, why do we need sukha, bliss? Buddha said, so that we can experience samadhi. Why samadhi? Why do we need samadhi? Buddha said, so that we can have 𝗕𝗏𝗦𝗓𝗔𝗬, knowledge and vision of things as they are. You see, yatha, whatever is there, buddha is there. Jnana, knowledge, dasana, vision. To have knowledge and vision of reality as it is.
Good morning, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. We are back again, hopefully. So today's topic by Sister Sylvia Bay will be understanding meditation holistically. Okay, Sister Sylvia Bay, over to you.
Okay, this is rather unfortunate it's because of conditions that are beyond our control. And that's just the nature of the world, that there will be conditions that are favorable and helpful, and you feel very blessed. And then there will be conditions which are disruptive, they are hindrances. And then if we are not careful, it's very easy for the mind to get caught up in these conditions and get really affected. So a key part about the practice is learning to manage the internal world, because the internal world, we can have some degree of control, some degree, not absolute, but enough for you to navigate the ups and downs, the pleasants, the unpleasants. Just navigate it in such a way that you don't get swept along by emotional turmoil or ecstatic feelings. Nothing so drastic. It would be, if you can manage your mind, then it's a lot calmer. You can live in this world, regardless of the conditions out there, you can live in this world peacefully. And that's the idea of practice. So anyhow, without further ado, I'm going to do a little bit about, give you an idea about what we're going to cover today. Today's topic is understanding meditation holistically. And the reason why I propose this topic is because I am aware that there is much fascination, much curiosity about meditation. In fact, generally you have people thinking that they can go learn meditation and their life will be so much better. There is this assumption. Sometimes you even have people who say that I don't need to understand too much about the Dhamma. If I can just meditate, all will be well. It doesn't work like that. In Buddhism, there is a place and a purpose for meditation. And for us to walk this path, to understand the Dhamma, to incorporate Dhamma into your daily life, so that you can experience cessation of dukkha. Cessation of dukkha means you have reduced sense of stress and suffering. In order for that to happen, there has to be careful calibrating of the mind. And there is a methodology, there are steps, and if you understand the methodology, understand the steps, you will be able to experience a mind not caught up in the ups and downs of the world, more restful, more peaceful, happier. And when you're happier, you will feel life to be more meaningful. Okay? So, first, meditation. Now, the first thing, misunderstanding and misconceptions. There are all kinds of ideas about meditation. Some may think that in meditation you have a blank mind. There are no thoughts. Maybe So for someone who has never experienced how it feels like for a mind in meditation, they will imagine that no thought means it's a blank mind, that it's all blackness or darkness. Sometimes people will imagine colors, or maybe they do see colors, but they will have all kinds of ideas about what this experience means and what that experience means. Now these are all ideas. All kinds of misconceptions, all kinds of ideas, all manner of imaginations. Today, what I would like you to do is to set aside your ideas, your assumptions. Just hear me out, bear with me, walk with me from the beginning to the end of the talk. And as you listen, keep your ears open. I hope you can internalize as much as possible the sharing. And hopefully, by the end of this talk, you would feel that you understand meditation better, the idea of meditation, what it's supposed to do, what it can help you accomplish, how does it help you in your understanding of Dhamma, and so on and so forth, okay? So, it's meditation in context. Okay, now, there was a sutta of an exchange between the Buddha and Ananda. The sutta is found in Anguttara Nikaya 10.1. The sutta is called What Purpose? And it was Ananda asking the Buddha, why was it necessary for the emphasis in certain aspects of the teaching? Why did the Buddha keep emphasizing those aspects? And Buddha very patiently, very kindly walked with Ananda from beginning to the end of the path, the practice, okay? So it started off with Ananda asking Buddha, why do we need to observe virtues? The Pali word is kusalani, silani, wholesome virtues. Why do we need wholesome virtues? And the Buddha said, so that one has no regrets. Then Ananda asked, why do we need to have no regrets? No regrets, the idea here is that there is worry, there is agitation, the mind feels bad, and so on, okay? The idea is mind feeling bad, therefore mind experiences stress, the mind doesn't feel peaceful. So Ananda asked Buddha, why is it so important that a mind should not have regrets? And Buddha said, so that the mind experiences piti. No, actually, joy first. So that the mind experiences joy, pamoja. Why is it important to have joy? So that the mind has piti, which is translated as rapture. This sense of a strong energy of delight, sensations, okay? Why is it necessary? Ananda wanted to know, why is it necessary to have piti? Buddha said, so that there is pasadi, tranquility. Why tranquility? Buddha replied, for sukha. Why sukha? Why is it important to have sukha? Sukha is bliss. And Buddha said, so that there can be the experience of samādhi. Samādhi means concentration. The mind being able to go quiet and still. Okay? And it goes on. It doesn't end here. So you see, meditation is only a step to more critical objectives. And Buddha was asked, Ananda asked Buddha, why do we need samādhi? Why do you need concentration? Why do you need meditation? And Buddha replied, so that there is experience, you can have this experience of yatha, Buddha, jnana, dasana. It's a very famous phrase. Yatha, Buddha, whatever is there. There is knowledge. Jnana means knowledge. Dasana is to see. having knowledge, which is an understanding. Vision, dasana. Dasana means there is experiential experience. It's not just knowledge conceptually, but you actually see the knowledge unfolding in such a way that you have a direct sensation, experience, and you have a takeaway from that experience. It's the takeaway from that experience that increases your knowledge of something. Example, you walk to a park, you see the sight for yourself, and as you observe this beautiful sight before you, there is sensation of joy and so on. Joy, peace, bliss, and so on. Then you go back and you tell somebody, I went to this park, and at this park I saw these things, and after I saw these things, I experienced all these sensations, the joy, the ecstasy, and so on. And the person who had your information had knowledge, but he didn't have experience. So there is no vision. He didn't see it for himself. He didn't experience and taste it for himself. So dasana is a direct experience in such a way that he went, oh wow, so this is what it means. He had that visual impact on his mind, and his takeaway from that is, now I know exactly what it means. Okay? So knowledge and vision of reality as they are, as it is, reality as it is. Okay? Only when there is this knowledge and vision will one then experience this enchantment, this passion. And then it comes to the end, which is vimutti, jnana, dasana, knowledge, vision, liberation. I will explain all this later. I will take you back here to focus on the preliminary part of the training so that you can have samādhi, meditation. Okay? Now, the landscape starts from sila, perfection of wholesomeness. And in any expression of wholesomeness, it starts always with the mind. Wholesome thoughts will translate into wholesome speech and wholesome action. So if you recall the Eightfold Path, you recall after right understanding, the Eightfold Path, right understanding, there is right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort. All these right thought, speech, action, livelihood, effort, all these tell you the critical importance in our practice, on our training path, the critical importance of a mind that is wholesome. We cannot stop at breaking unwholesome. We have to continue into cultivating positive, wholesome, skillful mental states. These positive, skillful mental states are like faith, gratitude, compassion, friendliness, generosity. There are so many states. And as practitioners, we have to cultivate all of them. Every single wholesome state, or if you like, skillful states. Generosity, Buddha started, when Buddha started teaching lay people, he always began with generosity, dāna. Chaga is generosity. Chaga and dāna actually means the willingness to put aside your own self-interest for another. Whether it's your happiness, your sense of pleasure, your sense of delight, welfare, put that aside for another. Okay? Now, this is not a talk on wholesomeness, so I will move on because I have to cover quite a bit of ground. The main thing to remember is this. You want to meditate You want to have a truly once a lifetime kind of experience with meditation and with that sense of experiencing everything that they describe about what's so beautiful about meditation. You first have to start with being wholesome. In your daily life, not just before meditation, you go, may everybody be well and happy. Not like that. It really has to start with, in your daily life, you've got to try and reduce as much as possible the akusala that comes out very spontaneous, the unwholesomeness, the anger, the craving, the resentment, the agitation, the laziness, the sense of entitlement, and so on and so forth. We have to start with trying to put aside all manner of greed and anger and agitation, stress. You have to learn to let these go first. And we can start simple. We can start with, don't get upset and scold. So easily your mouth opens and you unleash a torrent of angry words. Start with just calm down the mouth, restrain the mouth from giving vent to the anger. Start with that. Continue with wishing others well. This is very important. Every time you feel agitated and you want to say something, you tell yourself, I don't want to hurt people. If I should hurt someone, this pain that it inflicts on another will be a lash on your own mind. Tell yourself that. Every time you open your mouth and you lash another, it's a lash on you too. In fact, it may be more than one lash, because you will go on and if you are a true practitioner or you are truly a Buddhist, you will say, you know, I think I've just done something which hurt someone and it just doesn't feel good. By that alone, I don't feel good. By that alone, it's regret. You see that? If you are a decent person, if you don't care, then nothing happens. It will still affect your mind, but you're not aware of how it affects. But if you are a decent person and you want to be a decent person, you want to call yourself the Buddha's disciple, then it is necessary for you to guard the tongue so that it doesn't hurt people, it doesn't cause problems, it doesn't separate people, disrupt harmony. That doesn't happen, okay? So when you have observed right speech, right action, you keep your mind clean, you have the Brahma Vihara, meaning the metta and the compassion and genuinely rejoicing for another if he's doing well, that kind. If you have these pure thoughts and all, then your mind automatically, this is just conditional, your mind will automatically be light. Pamoja is light. It's like joy. It's a sense of, okay, I feel quite good about life. You walk out and may you all be well and happy, and then you say, I feel quite good about life. I feel good about being. That's the idea. If you keep your mind wholesome, you will feel pamoja, joy. And in that pamoja, if you push it a little bit more, if you keep cultivating this little joy, the sense that you have really contributed to the well-being of others really makes you feel good. This is natural condition. You don't have to say, may I feel good. You don't even have to do anything. You wish someone well, you will automatically feel good. You don't believe me? After this talk, just walk out into the room, see a person and say, may you be well and happy. Wish the person genuinely, may you be well and happy. I hope today you will have a good day. And I hope that you will feel joy and lightness and your mind be at peace. You say it with all sincerity. You just watch your own mind. You feel good. You feel confident, assured. Your mind feels steady. And that's what it means. The joy, the piti, the tranquility, the sukha, all these, the four mental states, all these are critical mental states before you can even meditate. For many of us who stumble in our meditation, the problem really is not that your mind is too distracted and you don't have this. You are describing symptoms. You are not tackling the cause of the problem at meditation. Symptom, my mind runs all over the place, my mind gets very drowsy, it gets agitated, it gets distracted. All these are actually symptoms of a deeper problem. The deeper problem really is the missing joy, piti, tranquility, sukha. Okay? Many of us go into meditation thinking that meditation can fix all our problems. I'm so angst, I'm so agitated. If I can meditate, I'll be fine. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to create the conditions first. You have to be a nice person first, basically. If you're not nice, by your own estimation, by the time people tell you you're not nice, it's really, really bad. But by your own estimation, is if you feel that I'm not a nice enough person, it means you're not nice enough for meditation. Okay? Again, let me just stress this again. If you feel that you can be a nicer person, I'm telling you, it means you don't have enough purity in the mind for the mind to relax into meditation easily. In order for the mind to just flow into the meditation easily, you have to feel that you had been a nice person. Hey, I'm actually quite a decent person. Some of you may say, oh, then that's pride. It is not pride. It is calling it as it is. A spade is a spade. No need to dress it up and pretend that it's something else. You know for yourself whether your mind is pure or clean enough, wholesome enough. Is it kusala enough? If it's kusala enough, then joy is a natural part of life. There is no need for you to, I feel so stressed, I therefore must do something to push away the stress. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything. You are kind enough, you give, you share, you love, you have metta and all. Naturally, the mind will settle into this softness and lightness, and I call it, but Buddha, sorry, not me. Buddha call it, translated in English, malleable, pliable. So it's a soft mind, okay? Soft. When you're angry, you're agitated, it's a hard mind. A mind that is hard, how to float. A mind that is hard will only sink, isn't it? So, okay. So if you have, you see, I put in some words here, faith and virtue. You take these two first, faith and virtue. These are critical mental states to walk all the way to the end. But let me just highlight two, faith and virtue. So virtue is here, okay? Then you say, oh, where does faith appear? You know, for us to be committed to staying wholesome. All of us tend to start off with, or has started off with, a belief that the Buddha was right, that the Buddha knew exactly what he was doing. We have absolute faith in his teaching, and therefore we are willing to put aside all our habits and instinct, stop them from agitating us so that we can continue to be wholesome as the Buddha had taught. We are basically doing what he said. If we don't have that degree of faith, why would we do it? How can we sustain it? Especially when we feel we must retaliate. Because if we don't retaliate, they're going to take advantage of us. If your mind talks like that, right, the only thing that can stop you from lashing back is your faith. Faith in the Buddha, faith in his teaching, faith in the practice, and you keep going. You hold the line on wholesomeness, regardless of what your mind really wants you to do, okay? So faith and virtue will almost guarantee these mental states coming up. The joy, the piti, the tranquility, the sukha. Only when these states come out very spontaneously, then the mind naturally will settle. It doesn't fly all over. It's natural. It will just settle down. Okay? Now, I know many of us, because I also started, right, with like everyone else, we all started from base zero. And when we started meditation, when we went into meditation, we had very similar kind of problems because we didn't understand this part. So when we didn't understand this part, we live a regular life, a conventional average, I call it national average life. So for those of you who have been following my talks, you know what I mean by national average. And a national average life essentially is a worldling's life. What does it mean by worldling? One who is caught up in the world, engaging with all essential delights and pleasures, the sense attractions, all distractions, as well as a mind that has gathered all these ideas about the world, experienced through its sense pleasure, it's gathered all these ideas, and now it also engages the ideas. So there are two parts to it, worldlings. There are the sense distractions, the sensual object outside, which you will engage through your 5 sense bases, plus the mind that gathers all this information, happily revisiting them again and again. So not only did you engage them through your senses, you also engage them with your mind. The 6th sense base is the mind. There is this constant, like playing mahjong, constant playing mahjong with what's out there, then what's in here, then what's in here goes out there, and it goes on and on. As long as you are caught up in the 6 sense bases, 5 out there plus 1 in here, as long as your mind is fixated with this 6 sense bases, you are a worldling. Because you couldn't get out of the world. You are trapped in the world. Only when if you had listened to a Dhamma talk and you feel that the Buddha's teaching made a lot of sense, and then you say, you know what, I believe, I don't know yet, but I believe that the Buddha was right and I'm going to apply his teaching. When that happens, and you seriously apply, not weekend warrior, okay? Your daily application. Not only the weekend go for Dhamma talk, that time I apply. It doesn't work like that. You will apply at all times. Applying his teachings at all times. What does it mean by applying? It means applying this one, sila, right thought, right action, right speech, and so on, right? When you start doing this, you are an aspirant. You aspire to learn the Dhamma. You aspire to train in the Dhamma. When this happens, and you apply these things carefully, then you will experience your life like this. Then this is possible. So, back to the problems that we face. A worldling, those of us who remain very caught up, very seized by the world, a worldling will have these problems if they didn't do this properly. If they didn't do this properly, anybody will have this kind of problems. And then, for those of you who are familiar with the Pali word, there is a word called nivaranas, which I didn't write in Pali, so that I can write it here. Nivaranas. Hindrances, obstacles, obstructions to you getting jhāna. Okay? They are nivaranas because they obstruct you from being able to experience jhāna. For those of you who meditate, the word jhāna is familiar to you. Okay? I will explain that in a while, but let me just go through this again. So, the regular mind, the average worldling will be, number 1, too restless. The mind jumps from object to object. It cannot stay on my breathing. For those of you who use breathing as a meditation object, you say, oh, my mind cannot stay on the breathing. It keeps running all over the place. Too restless. Why too restless? Because it is, on a daily basis, caught up with sense impressions. Sense impressions, but the word here is sense desires. The reason is because most of us don't just look at senses and say, senses, senses, senses. We don't do that. We will say, sense, I like or I don't like. I see something I like or I don't like. I hear something I like or I don't like. And we will normally gravitate towards like, pleasure. Whatever sense experiences that give us pleasure, we like. That is why it is called sensual desires. Most of us will gravitate towards the sense experiences that give us pleasure, and be averse to sense experiences that gives us pain. That is just the way we are. And because of that, because of the sense desires, your mind gets restless. The more you are distracted by sense impressions out there and have very strong preferences, the stronger your preferences, the more kind of preferences you have, the more distraction you will have. And you say, oh yeah, but it's thoughts. You remember what I said? Five sense experiences plus the mind. They come together. So the mind doesn't exist in a vacuum. The mind exists with its, what would you call it? It basically plays along. The mind plays along with the sense impressions of an external world. So, given all these engagements, your mind, if it is distracted during meditation, means it has a lot of likes, dislikes, wants, don't wants, and you can't stop yourself from all these wants and don't wants. Because your mind, when you have a lot of wants, and you have very deep wanting means very strong aversion, okay? When there is very deep desires, there's very strong aversion, therefore these two will come together and impact this. That's one problem. And then, the more desires, the more preferences you have, the more worry you will have, the more sense of regret you will have. That is why this guy will also participate here. You have minimal desires, you will have minimal worry. It's just like that. Conditional. You have a lot of preferences, you will have a lot of worries. You just think about the time when you say, oh, I don't worry about anybody until your favorite child didn't come back at the time that she or he promised. Because it's your favorite child, or because it's your only child, or because it's a child and you don't care, as long as your child it's very precious to you. As long as you put a lot of value, you will have worry. Okay? And if you say, oh, I worry a lot, it means you have a lot of preferences, a lot of desires. Manage that. You want to meditate, you have to manage that. Meditation doesn't help you to overcome that. You have to reduce that one thing, then you can meditate. Okay, then the other problem that people face is, oh, I'm too sleepy, I can't stay awake, or my mind kind of just drop off. This one usually has to do with, first you have to establish whether or not it's your body that is tired. If you didn't sleep enough and you don't really meditate, your body will be very tired. It's very hard to stay awake. But it can also be the mind that is tired. So not just the body, the mind can be tired. So let's say you have been worried for a while, or you have been agitated for a while, and when that happens, it will then follow into your meditation, and by the time you want to sit, your mind is already tired, it will sleep. So it will then be all four can affect you. Sleep. Distraction, agitation, all kinds of flowing from here to there, your mind just losing steam and energy, running after all the preferences, and then you got tired, you fall asleep. Okay? Now, distracted by sound, that's simple. It's usually to do with a mind that's very caught up with the world outside. If your mind constantly whether it's fear or it is, I don't know, you're agitated because you're waiting for someone to come back, or you already have agitation and you want it to be perfect silence. Then when it is not perfect silence, then your anger will come out and then it will affect. So distracted by sound tends to be a mind that constantly wants to go out and engage the world. This is very unique. Don't know what to do. I have been asked this question after my mind kind of get quiet and still. Then I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and then I cannot stay in that stillness. Because when there is the arising of what am I supposed to do next, that is this problem, 𝗦𝗔𝗔𝗦𝗔. I know it's called doubt, but actually what it means is you lose confidence. There is loss of confidence. There is this wondering what should be done, how it should be done. Am I doing it right this way, that way? That kind of thing arises. It's a mind that starts to talk. When the mind starts to talk, for sure, it will be out of that stillness, the quiet, the sense of stability. Okay. Inconsistent and lacking motivation to meditate, which is another question, some questions that people have asked me. When you do not feel joy in meditation, if you do not feel joy, you do not have pleasant sensation, the mind, because of its habit, will be averse to that activity. Generally, there must be a reward for pushing ahead with something, especially if it's painful. Let's say you do a marathon and you run and run and run and run. It's very painful on the body, but endorphin get released. You actually feel good running after a while. It's the same thing for meditation. People who thoroughly enjoy meditation, they are the ones who are able to sit, and then the mind will release all the beautiful feel-good chemicals, and then they just sit there and enjoy that chemicals. Then the ones who don't want to sit is because the mind hasn't reached a point where it can release all these lovely chemicals. And they go, why am I doing this? I'm wasting my time. Oh, this is so difficult. What is so difficult? Sitting down there and just stay put. Don't do anything. What is so difficult? You tell me. It's not as if you are asked to juggle balls or balance on two wheels. It is not. But it is difficult because there is no pleasure. And what has no pleasure begin to feel like a waste of time. That is how our mind can be so naughty. It wants pleasure, it wants its cake and eat it. And then it complains that the method is too hard, and it must be the method. It has to be the method that is at fault. It's not the method. All methods can work. All meditation methods taught by the Buddha will work, can work, has worked. The only reason why it didn't work for you is because you didn't do these things enough. Okay? These things were not done enough. That's why it didn't work. If you can do this beautifully, I told you, this is natural. This joy, rapture, tranquility, bliss, they are natural states. They will just arise. And when it's there, and then the mind will just settle into quiet. That's all. No magic here. Anyone with the same kind of mental conditions, this, will have this and experience this. It's natural. No need to try too hard. The question is, when you are upset, can you wish another well? Can you hold that tongue, hold the thought, genuinely wish another well? Can you do that? If that you cannot do, this is hard. Okay? Now, I wrote, now we're going into meditation. What exactly is samādhi? I use the English word meditation, but the better word to use is samādhi, which means concentration. What's the difference between concentration and meditation? Meditation suffers from too much baggage of all kinds of ideas. So let's go back to the Buddha's original word, which was samādhi, okay? And samādhi He was very specific. Samadhi means experience of jhāna. In many suttas, many suttas, where the Buddha talked about samadhi, he always said that is secluded from unwholesomeness, secluded from sensual pleasure, the mind enters and abide in the first jhāna, which has the following conditions: vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha first. Now, I didn't translate the word vitakka, vichara, because in English there are many words. It's better to help you get an idea what vitakka, vichara means. Taka actually means logic. Vitakka has the idea of thinking. Some degree of thinking is going on. Then you may say, meaning the mind is like a regular mind, thinking. No. It's not that kind of aimless thinking. This is what I call leashed thinking. Leash means you know, you are aware that the mind is thinking. Most time when you think, you're not aware. You are caught up in the objects and your mind is running with the object. Your awareness may not be there. I'm not saying you're unconscious. You are conscious, but there is no mindfulness. In vitakka, you know that the mind is talking. Not talking out of control, it's leashed, it's controlled. So, for instance, you say to yourself, I'm watching my in-breath. This is a long in-breath. I'm watching my out-breath. This is a long out-breath. This is thinking. This is vitakka. Okay? And if you are doing metta meditation on metta, or meditation on 32 parts, or meditation on faith, when you reflect on the Buddha's qualities, or the qualities of the Dhamma, all these are meditation objects. Okay? Any one of them. It can be to meditate on faith. I'm reflecting Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammā Sambuddhassa. How many words? How many syllables already? And if you know exactly what each word means, you say in Pali, translate into English, reflect on the word. Noble, fully enlightened, the fully enlightened Buddha. Why do we call him blessed? Why do we call him noble? Why do we call him fully enlightened? If you spend time just reflecting on the Buddha and the fact that he's noble, he's higher, he is superior man, he is different from us, he is not caught up in the world like the rest of us. That kind of thing, it inspires faith. Those are thoughts, those are vitakka. And in these thoughts, as you feel the joy of being his disciple, sui liao, it means your mind can actually go still. So, reflecting on the qualities of the Triple Gem can actually help your mind go into jhana. Why? Because you are thinking in a systematic, restrained, organized way, and aware, there is awareness, you are thinking, you stay with that thought, you don't drift, you stay with this thought, the qualities of the Buddha, you just stay with it. And as you stay on it, as the mind settles, it talks, but it is starting to settle, immediately you will feel the sensation. Piti is a sensation, goose pimples coming up. It affects the form. The form feels like it's drifting for some people. Sometimes you just feel, oh, I can feel the sense of heaviness or lightness, and that's good. In fact, when you feel these sensations, don't block it. Let the sensations arise in you. Flood your system. AN10.1 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 description on how you should allow the piti, the sensations, to flood your system down to the toe. And you can feel your hair down to up to your hair, but you can't feel your hair. So down to the toe, every single drop of the sensation needs to flood your molecules and atoms, okay? You flood it all over the place. The sukha is that little quiet bliss hiding in the corner which you you may not, unless you're very clear in your meditation, you may miss it. But it's okay. You have these 4 mental states, you are approaching a stillness, you're approaching the jhāna, okay? And as you approach and you consolidate in the jhāna, your mind, you don't need the Buddha to hold your hand. You don't need to hold on to the triple gems to stay. The mind is quietly settling down, and which means it doesn't drift already. You are aware, you can think, but you don't need thinking to hold you to the stillness. That's what it means. And so the second level of the second sets of mental states that will start to come up for you is piti and sukha is the same, okay? Piti, sukha, you see that? It's piti and sukha. But the 2 new ones that start to appear, there is a tranquility and the mind coming together, consolidating. Inner tranquility, unification of mind. Basically the mind coming, the attention is not drifting. That's what it means. Your attention is steadying. The attention is steadying without you having to anchor it on something. It will just steady by itself, like you are rocking on a boat and the boat is not drifting anywhere. You're just basically rocking there, your awareness. Then the physical sensations will start to fade away because the mind is getting lighter and lighter. As the mind gets lighter and lighter, it will start to let go of the form, which is gross. The form is heavy. It starts to let go, and what you will experience is this lightness and the translation bliss, I like that word, the sense of bliss, the sense of being at peace. Third stage. Bliss, okay? Clearly aware, equanimity and mindfulness. For those people who say sati, samādhi don't come together, the Buddha disagrees. The Buddha tells you mindfulness is sharp. There is clear awareness. How can there not be sati, samādhi together? You are going into samādhi. And sati is clear, okay? So actually, as your mind starts to stabilize, the clarity, the objectivity, you start to drop the sensation of the I. It should actually start to fade. What you have is a mind present with clarity and no talking. There is no view, no opinion, no judgment, no critical thinking. It's present. There is a present. But present awareness that is very clear. There is nothing blank here. There is no blank mind. It's a clear mind. You are not asleep. You are fully awake. And you should stay awake because you need to use it for that purpose. You have to keep the awareness present, awake, clear, and above all, equanimous. This is the first time this is mentioned. So you wonder, sukha, bliss, equanimity. How come? Isn't equanimity? Equanimity is like neutral, right? How come got sukha? Because equanimity means you are not choosing between sensations. You're not going after the lights. You're not going after the delights, the dislikes. You're okay. You accept. Actually, the presence of equanimity means the mind is content. The mind accepts. the mind doesn't cling. This is where the mind stops to cling too hard. It's still there, but you are no longer clinging to sense pleasure, sense delight. You are now tilting it towards the joy of being. Literally, deep joy, sense of bliss. It's a beautiful experience. When monks and practitioners start talking about beautiful, when you sit and experience jhāna, it's so beautiful, it's so peaceful, it's so blissful. It's really because of these mental states. There's no magic. It's just these mental states which are very blissful, very peaceful, because there's no craving, no chasing. There is just being, accepting. And finally, you just let everything you just let go, and you just accept present being, just accept. And that's why there's only two left at the end, equanimity and mindfulness. The mindfulness is sharp and clear. Now, what are you supposed to be mindful of? This is where people will say, my mind is so clear, what am I supposed to look at? This. Where you sit and your mindfulness is very clear, there is a sense of being present. This just present. And in this being present, maybe no more form, you don't feel the body. In fact, you don't feel the body. You don't even feel the breathing, but you are aware. If you are aware, it means there is contact. There is contact. And because there is contact, there has to be sensation, feeling. This is not the kind of feeling where you go, I like, I don't like, but there is an awareness of a sensation. Equanimity has sensation. Mindfulness has sensation. There is awareness of a sensation. And you are aware of a mind experiencing that sensation. But you don't stop there. If you stop there, this is not Dhamma yet. You have to go on into looking at Dhamma. So you say, what is this Dhamma? Know that what you are experiencing, and this is where we come into this. This leads you here. 𝗕𝗛𝗦𝗓𝗛𝗏. You can get your mind so clear. Let me just correct. You don't actually have to go pop, 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 pop all the way here. But if you do according to the conditions, right? You just do what you're supposed to do. Observe wholesomeness, be the goodest person you can be, the purest mind you can have. Have it pure, have it really kind and giving, compassionate, patience, and all. It will get you here. This is easy peasy, okay? It will get you here. And then you just let the conditions be. Get the mind quiet, get it peaceful, get it calm. The moment you come here, you can actually start doing this. Becoming aware of the mind, becoming aware of the sensation, becoming aware of, oh, Dhamma. Because your mind stops talking. You can do it here, the mind stops drifting all over the place. It's back present. It's steady enough. It can be done. When this happens, when your mind gets quiet enough, you can start looking at your Dhamma. What is looking at Dhamma? What is looking at mind? What is looking at that which is there, see it as it is. That which is there, see it as it is. Reality of the mind as it is. What are we looking at? We're actually looking at this, fellas. 5 aggregates of grasping. Why these 5? Why looking at the 5 aggregates of grasping? Why not contact? Why not look contact? Because in the contact itself, you don't cling. The clinging starts when there is a sensation, the feeling. Okay? When Vedana, feeling starts, it's when the clinging starts. And you look at yourself, all this will require you to look at your own mind, look at your own experience. In the form, we identify with it, we call it my body, my limbs, my everything physical, I can see, I want to identify with it. So, in the body, we will cling. We will identify with it. We call it atta. We call it the self. And then we are attached to it. So there are two things happening. You call this form a self, and you are attached to the form because it's me, it's mine. It is an expression of I. You say it like that. The second thing, third and fourth things that we cling on to are the sensation. Pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, we don't cling, but we always cling onto the pleasant, and we are averse to the unpleasant, to the painful. And the mind has preferences. We always have these preferences. And we cling very hard onto pleasant sensation, right? And all sensations, you will call it mine. It's an extension of me. I'm entitled to feeling good. I am entitled to not being attacked and feeling bad. I am entitled. You will talk like this. So sensations is the second thing we cling on to. Perception, saññā. When your mind sees something, recognizes it, that's that split moment when you recognize it, you form an idea, that split moment is called saññā. Saññā, or in English, perception, recognition. This is this one, huh? Saññā, recognition, perception, recognition, knowing, registering. These are the verbs, the verbs that you can use. You know what I mean? At the point when you say, it's him, it's the car, my car. At that moment when you recognize it, that is saññā. You think about it. We all have so much views. Democracy is good, communism is not. It's a view. How do you know it's democracy? I recognize it as democracy. I recognize it as communism. That is saññā. There's ideas. Men have gone to war over ideas, over saññā. You don't even need to go to Shankara, which is construction, thought formation. This is Shankara. You don't even need to get here. On here, you are capable of fighting already. That is how dangerous all this clinging can be. So, knowledge and vision of the mind as it is, the mind and body, your experience of the world. And in all these, you are to see them as suffering. There is an origin and there is a cessation. This is where the Four Noble Truths comes in. What does it mean? You look at it, I'm attached to my form. I like my form to feel good. So I'm attached to the pleasant sensation of a healthy form. I want the form to remain healthy. I don't want to die. I don't want the form to die. So what do you have? You have craving. Origin of dukkha is craving. You have craving for the form to be such and not such and such. The mind, yatha bhuta, see the form as it is. It will arise and the form will die. The feelings will arise and the feelings will fade away. Any view that you form will be a view. When you think of it, it's a view, and then when you forget, it fades away. Or as soon as you talk about a view, it's already on its way to cessation. It fades away. So you train them. Your mind must constantly see that every moment is a conditional arising. It's the end of a previous moment. Every moment is a new moment. And recognizing constant change. So you're actually in daily life recognizing for yourself that whatever sensations that you have, a feeling, a thought, construction, experience, the experience of the form, every waking moment is a drop in a moment in time. To be able to see that is one thing. To be able to accept is another. We all know passing moments, but it doesn't mean you accept that the moment has passed. That is why we have anger and we refuse to let go of anger. And there are actually quite a few more things. For instance, kusala and akusala, wholesomeness and unwholesomeness. Seeing wholesomeness and unwholesomeness for what they are. Unwholesomeness brings pain. Wholesomeness are the conditions for pleasant sensation. Wholesomeness, wholesome thought, speech, action are the conditions for cessation of dukkha. Did we see that? We don't. We will cling onto the unwholesome and occasionally give a nod to the wholesome. Yeah. Dhamma is good. Yeah, Chagga is good. Yeah, but I want to scold you about that. So you keep, the mind, the regular mind wants to keep going back to 𝗏𝗏𝗦𝗏, go back and find fault and complain and nag and so on. So seeing things as they are is also seeing that contrast between what wholesomeness does to the mind and what unwholesomeness does to the mind. And we should constantly lean towards the wholesome. So I see there is wholesome, unwholesome. There are the aggregates that come and fade away. They arise, they will fade away. We must know that. We must accept that they are like that. Because when you accept, then you begin to learn how not to be attached. How not to have your preferences. I choose it to be like this or like that. That starts to happen. So, cessation is when the mind accepts. It has no preference. It has no preference about the rupa, about feelings, about views. All views are views. It is okay, it's just another view. You have a construction, meaning thinking. How the moment the mind latches onto something, it starts spinning on its own. It spins on its own axis. This is construction, okay? Formation, construction. And all this is an experience, it's consciousness. Consciousness does not exist, this vijnana does not exist without these guys in the picture, okay? It comes together. Now, you see jnana, this guy, yatha Buddha, seeing things as they are. This is part of the path. The path in Anguttara Nikaya 3.103 before awakening, the path requires you also to, in all of the 5 aggregates, you must see each one, gratification, you must see the 3 things, gratification, see danger, see escape. What does it mean? See how the mind gets drawn towards something that it feels pleasant. It has an experience of pleasant, it will experience delight, and in that pleasant and delight, it has gratification. Okay? Then why did the Buddha call it danger? Because all experiences, all your aggregates all of them are anicca, they are impermanent. They come, gone. And because every one is impermanent, every sensation is impermanent, they then pose a problem. You are in danger of experiencing dukkha, left, right, center, because they are impermanent. it's the English word that has a bit of a problem. When we think of danger, it means, oh, die, we're going to suffer. Yeah, the suffer is correct. Because they are impermanent, you will suffer. If you are attached, you will suffer. So they are danger because you suffer, okay? Because they are impermanent. If they are permanent, you're okay. But hey, we all know there's no permanence, right? And then comes, what is escape? Escape is when you are able to get out of a trap. And escape is getting out and freeing yourself. So what are you escaping from? You are escaping from dukkha. You're getting out of dukkha when you see the danger and you don't cling. If we learn how not to cling, if we learn to see the things as come up and fade away and we do not get attached to it, that's your escape. If you're not attached, if you're not attached, whether to yourself, to form, to mind, to people, if you're not attached, you are free. Vimutti jnana dasana, knowledge, vision of liberation. If you are not attached, then that is your escape. If you are not attached, you are free. So it's not written here, but you're free of what? You're free of the fetters. You remember the 10 fetters that we talk about? The 10 fetters of that when you go into liberation, as you begin to understand the Dhamma, as your mind starts to rise above the mundane and the world, that of the worldlings, when your mind experiences spiritual growth and progression, you will start to drop certain fetters, okay? I think it's jhāna, the fetters. So as you drop those fetters, actually what it means is you are beginning to escape. And that will be a talk for another day. But the idea here is you're beginning to escape the bindings that trap you in samsara. Okay? And, okay. As part of the practice, it is necessary for one to do these three things. I know it is a lot to take in, but you know, landscape means you must cover the terrain, the entire ground. So we will cover it somewhat superficially because there is no time to go into details. Now I'm just painting for you the big picture, okay? And as part of the big picture, I will have to share with you what kind of practice, why it is necessary to adopt that practice and have it incorporated somewhat in your daily life. Okay, let me explain. If you are familiar with the suttas, you will probably come across, very often Buddha talks about guarding sense doors, having wise attention, yoniso manasikara. Many practitioners love this word, you know, it makes us feel really smart, yoniso manasikara, which means wise attention. And then specifically this one, change sanya. You say Buddha got says change sanya. Yes, he even introduced a whole sutta about changing sanya, changing perception. So I'll go through this very quickly. When you are guarding your sense doors, it means you are trying to catch the mind at contact level. You can't quite catch contact, but when you touch and there is a sensation, at that point, it's guarding your sense door. When there is a sound, and the mind attention focuses on that sound, what you have is sound, the ear base, plus a consciousness, attention put there, there is an experience of sound. Guarding your sense door means taking your mindfulness to that level of clarity. You are so clear when there is arising of contact, arising, the mind lands on sight, it lands on sound, it lands on a smell. You are so sharp in your mindfulness, you catch the experience when it merely just lands. Contact, it just lands. So there is a sensation, you catch your mind, you are mindful of that sensation. When you are mindful of that sensation, you have one split second to do something about it. That split second is when put the correct attention. That split second, if you put a wrong attention, you will buck up the wrong tree, you buck up the whirling tree. So what is this catching this right sensation? As you land on the object and you internalize the object, this is when the mind instinctively go into I like, I don't like. Don't go there. To go there, like, don't like, means you are whirling. You've gone back into the whirling's habit. At the point when there is contact and you are aware, vision, you have one split second, this is when you will switch to this guys. See impermanence. Oh, feeling, impermanent. Oh, feeling, conditional arising. You hear conditional arising. Or feeling, impermanent, conditional arising, and you say sound, oh, sight, not attractive. Because the mind is looking for attractive. You switch. Give me an example. Suppose, let's say, you like to look at pretty people, okay? Whether it's a guy or a girl, you like to look at them because they are pretty, they are nice looking. The mind, your eye automatically zoom to attractive. If you're in training and you want to practice, you are in training, your mind catch a form, and instead of saying, lovely hair, beautiful eyes, it goes, hair, dead cells. Yes, the body full of dirt, bacteria-ridden body, decaying. You can just imagine straight away your interest is off. So then you say, why do it like that? It's so painful. Yes, because all our life we have been drawn towards beautiful, drawn towards the attractive, looking at hair, not dead cells, looking at nails, not dead cells. We are drawn towards what is beautiful, what is pleasant, what is attractive. Now you are forcing the mind to look at what is unattractive, what is unpleasant, what is awful. And to do that, do it successfully, you have to do it all the time. Not when I'm retreat, I do it. Oh, retreat, no need already. I'll go back and look at beautiful. When that happens, it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps backward. You keep doing this until the mind becomes neutral. Okay, neutral. So, yoniso manasikara, as opposed to ayoniso manasikara, means this. Normal situation, if you're whirling and you give vent to your regular life, you tend to look for attractive, and you tend to, in your mind, you're already enjoying, you're already imagining the pleasure. Imagining the pleasure. It hasn't even reached there yet. I want to go to this place to buy this food, and then you, oh, it's so nice. Think of the food already, I'm happy. You're already imagining the pleasure. Buddha says, look at the unattractiveness, so don't look at the input, look at the output, okay? Look at the danger. Oh, thinking of the pleasure, but it's impermanent. Ah, sudahlah. It already also come out as something else. Ah, sudahlah. So your mind, you're basically teaching your mind not to look for the pleasant and not to imagine the pleasure, but to be aware that in every experience there are 2 parts. There is the pleasant and there's the unpleasant. There is the attractive and there is the unattractive. There is the pleasure and there is the pain. See things balance. And the mind focuses on that, recognizing that in life all is balance. There's 2 sides to every coin. Don't just pile all your money on the pleasant and the pleasurable and the beautiful and the attractive and so on and so forth. When you can do that, the mind starts to let go. You see the balance, you are not drawn. So this is what it means by disenchantment and dispassion. Disenchantment is you keep whacking the mind at what is unpleasant. After a while, the mind goes, oh, this is scary, I don't want it. But you don't want to end there. You don't want to stop at unpleasant. You have to bring it back to balance. Balance, then the mind learns to, they see things in perspective. They are not drawn towards either. They will make do. That's the idea. Training the mind not to hanker after one, to chase after one, but to see things in perspective, in a balanced way, so that it will accept the good and the bad. What comes, comes. What goes, goes. It will see things in perspective, the balance. Because if you can see things in a balanced way, there is no dukkha, because you will accept anything. Okay? That's why when you look at the monks and all, they constantly will talk about cultivating the wholesomeness, learning to accept what comes and go, bad and good, rising, falling, none, no sensations, no experience is forever. It's rising, falling. So you keep at it, keep at experiencing change, anicca, impermanence, accepting mortality of this form. You keep doing that. After a while, the mind becomes balanced. It's no longer fixated about this way and this way only. It learns to accept. Okay, I won't go into 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 training to be done. But the idea, what you must remember is, Girimananda Sutta merely talks about changing sanya. How this baseline, perception baseline, can be shifted and must be shifted. If you are training in the Dhamma, on this Dhamma path, you have to shift the way the mind talks. As a baseline, you know, instinctively. We're not talking about, oh, let me think. It should be like this. It's not like that. The moment you see you must reach a point where you see a person, you see mortality. You see, that's why in the ancient time, you talk about the monks, right? They'll talk about, what did you see? I saw a pile of walking bones. They train their mind so hard that when they see a human, a living human, they see death. They don't see the living human. They are no longer deluded by life. They literally see a walking bone, a pile of walking bones, because the mind has shifted. Okay? I think I've covered the ground, right? Yeah, more or less, I've covered the ground. So this is the landscape. So to repeat very quickly, train in the sila, so that samādhi, the mind can become steady, it doesn't drift all over the place, it is able to maintain equilibrium, and you have this clarity and this awareness, okay? So with that as the baseline, the stability, the awareness, the clarity, the mindfulness, with that as your baseline, then you can start looking at the nature of the mind without corrupting the understanding. Because we all carry delusion, moha. Our lens is a blurred lens. It's a lens of moha and avidya, ignorance. Because our lens is like that, you actually need to clean up that lens until it doesn't have the corrupting influence or the corrupting stains of your biased views. You take away all those biased views, the worldling views, so that you can stare at the aggregates, see the aggregates arising and falling away, every experience arising. Aggregates may be big words, but actually it's just your everyday life. You see, you feel, you recognize, That's your experience. It's your everyday life. It's not complex. The complex part is to catch each experience objectively, without judging, without views, knowing that you are talking away and messing up that observation. Think of it like that, huh? You are a security guard or you're a detective, and it is your job to trail someone. But if you trail that someone with preconceived views, then you're not being fair to that someone. Preconceived views. Oh, this person is so fat, must be greedy lah. Oh, this person dressed until so short, must be hiao lah. You know, you already have views. Oh, this person carry a school bag, dress up so nicely. Oh, is a good student. You already have views. You are biased. You are a bad detective. A good detective is just observing, yes, a bag, yes, this bag, yeah, okay. Yes, he's walking this way, it took 3 minutes to get there. Those are objective views, objective observations. And that's to be able to see the mind without it being corrupted by your regular delusions. That's why you have to clean the lens, clean the mind to a point where it's very steady, it doesn't drift, it can see clearly, it stays there without having to roam off looking for something to titillate it and making it pleasurable. No need. Staying put, being present, it's already peaceful. That mind is ready to do its work properly. Okay?
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. We have at least 10 questions or so.
We're live.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll start with one simple one. What is the difference between secular mindfulness meditation and Buddha's method?
I don't know secular mindfulness as such, meaning to say I don't go and train in one of those places learning how to be mindful. But I've listened to people talking about what they experience and where do they stop. I've read notes on that. I know where they stop. And my sense is that in the secular setting, they teach you to be aware as opposed to be distracted. Be present in the now, be aware of the now, and having that awareness, the clarity of that awareness perhaps. If they're very skillful, you can get to a point where you're just very aware, you're aware of the change. But it ends there. My understanding is it ends there. It doesn't take you into examining and internalizing the nature of change. Change in sensations. The secular mindfulness also doesn't help you learn to accept that in these changes, it's just the way things are. You learn not to hanker, you learn not to hold, you learn to let go. So this is one, in my mind, this is one difference, that it doesn't quite teach, it doesn't explain to you what exactly is the nature of the mind. You are aware, but you don't go deep enough to learn that in the nature of the mind is actually the escape. In how you, because it's rising and falling, and once you accept it, you don't feel pain. If you can accept, if you can be content, you don't feel pain. So I think secular mindfulness does not emphasize as much in training acceptance and letting go. And it doesn't shift, specifically it doesn't change sanya. It doesn't change your baseline. There is no, I think there isn't a complete methodology for changing perception baseline. Meaning to say, I can walk out of a mindfulness training center becoming more aware, becoming somewhat at peace, but I may not realize mortality. mortality. Meaning to say, you will still go back to living the life and then you get agitated, and at best you are, okay, agitated, don't get too agitated, don't get too caught up. At best it's that. But you may not actually shift the way that the mind says, I will die the next minute, right? That life is very impermanent, that we will all die one day, and because we will all die one day, the natural instinct to cling, to hold, that natural instinct starts to loosen. That doesn't happen.
And for liberation as well?
Liberation, yes, for sure. Down the line, all the way to liberation. Secular mindfulness never got there. They only, I think, they got around to maybe roughly this point. Roughly this point. Meaning not even in here. They got out here. Maybe this side, you know. They got to this part where, meaning to say that, if you think about it, yeah, I know my form, I know my feeling, I'm aware of form and feeling, full stop. Full stop. It doesn't go into, what about the nature of that feeling? That it sees, that it ends. It doesn't go there. Because to go there is when you learn to just accept things without preferences. Secular mindfulness doesn't cause you to drop preferences. You will still cling on to preferences and views and ideas and ego and the self. You still have all those things. They don't erase any of these. And because they don't help you to erase these delusions, they don't last. You will get caught up and it will start, your cycle of samsara will start again.
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. The second question is, my question is for retirees who want to really practice. How best to gently incorporate meditation into daily life? How to have Dhamma in mind as much as possible in a day while still going about the duties for one's family without withdrawing into oneself?
You're talking about a lay person. A lay person in lay life, when you're a lay person, it means that you are saying, I have two sets of duties. I have a duty to the world, my responsibilities to people who depend on me, whom I feel obliged to take care of. And because of that, I will have duties to earn a living and manage resources and improve myself and all kinds of things. I'm plugged into the world and I want to engage the world. Okay, that's one part. That balance against my duty to myself, to my mind, to transforming the way that I am in the direction of the Dhamma. So I constantly toggle between these demands. They are demands, okay? When you are working, there will be demands on you. When you are engaging your parents, there will be demands on you. And that demands will take you away from a focus in looking at your mind. That is a given, we know that. And if you're looking at it like this holistically, actually being retired or still working is just a shifting of the time and the resources. It's just that. If you, the difference is not between one who is retired and one who is working. The difference is your own sense of your own balance. Suppose, let's say, you say that, oh, my duties are more important and training of the mind, well, okay, we can wait. Then that's it. Whether you're working or you're retired, you're still going to put your eggs on the secular basket, in the secular basket. But if you say, no, if I can fix this mind, if I can change the person that I am, if I can walk this path properly, there will be the downstream benefits to my regular life. Then that's where you put more of your eggs in the training basket, whether you are in retired or still working, those eggs are still going to be placed in that way, in your training basket, your development basket. And when that happens, you will devote time and energy on training. It is actually the question is not retired or still working. The question is, how much of this mind do you wish to fix and shift in this life? How much of this life are you planning to devote to transformation, spiritual transformation? If you are prepared to devote more time, you choose to stay a lay person, but you want to devote more time to training, then it's very easy. Do the wholesome one. Just be wholesome. People think that the big challenge is in meditation. I'm telling you, the big problem is in preserving mental purity, preserving wholesomeness. Because when the crunch comes, when you feel pressured or you feel pushed and you're not getting what you want, the instinct, the 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 arising, the anger arising, it feels like a tsunami. At that point, you are standing against your own tsunami. You can do it, sweet, you're on track. You can't do it, you have already lost the ground. You have skidded and fallen. That's what it means. Then you got to pick yourself up and start again. Okay? The meditation, I'm telling you, the moment you fix the wholesomeness, in daily life, you preserve the wholesomeness. You can sit anywhere, at any time, and you will be awash with joyous energy. The challenge at that time is to drag you away from meditation. Not to force you to meditate. It's actually to drag you away from meditation. You just want to sit and, it's so nice, I want to be peaceful. Why don't I engage the world? I just want to be peaceful. That's what will happen. If you have all the wholesomeness, you'll feel so good. You just want to sit and you want to just breathe. And sitting, I'm not talking about closing eyes. I'm just saying you can just sit and watch the breathing, happy already. Just in the breath is the joy of the mind.
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. When I do samatha meditation, I experience pleasure and peace in the mind and body. However, after the session, the mind tends to get extremely agitated when an unhappy event happens. So recently, I switched to mindfulness meditation, and the mind is more at ease. Please advise whether I'm doing it correctly.
If you can meditate, it means there is wholesomeness in your mind, right? You're telling me that you can sit and you can do samatha and then the mind can actually go peaceful and quiet. It means you have wholesomeness. Then what you must do is, in your daily life, have more metta. For you, metta should not be too difficult. You can actually, in your daily life, constantly bring up metta. Bring it up, metta, so that the mind starts to have lesser and lesser 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏, agitation. The mindfulness, it is not a choice between samatha and mindfulness. Mindfulness is a natural aspect of a samādhi. Natural aspect of samādhi is mindfulness. Okay? So when we say mindfulness, it's actually putting into daily life the strength of concentration so you can protect your mindfulness in daily life. You have potted over the concentration ability to add oomph to mindfulness. Okay? But you cannot stop there. Mindfulness is not just I'm aware. It is not. It is mindfulness of wholesome, unwholesomeness, mindfulness of change, mindfulness of passing time and conditional arising of mental states. If you truly are mindful according to the Buddha's teaching, then the anger will become past tense. It will not be angry, it will be having been angered and now let go. It's past tense, it will eventually become past tense. If you find the anger is still present tense, then metta is not enough, mindfulness is not done properly, your samadhi stops at sitting. When you're quiet, then you have samadhi. When you're out of samadhi, then you get caught up, and then your mindfulness get lost. Then your anusa, your tendencies will start flooding up. Okay? So I repeat, in order to do it right, do metta meditation. Have metta in daily life. Be mindful of metta. As you walk down the road, smile at the world. If you must, smile gently and kindly. So even people won't think that you're crazy. You're just smiling. Have a pleasant disposition. And constantly just do it. Flood the metta. And in mindfulness, remember to look out for change, conditional arising. Then learn to accept. This is the nature of the mind. Conditional arising, change. Then you must protect your wholesomeness. And then you go from there. Okay?
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. For jhāna, yata bhuta jnana dasana, when you experience and see one aggregate, do you need to experience all 5 aggregates, rupa, feeling, etc., in order to awaken and escape? Thank you.
You know, if you tell me you experience one aggregate at a time, I'll tell you something is off there. Actually, all 5 aggregates are experienced. You can pay attention to one at a time, but in any of the aggregates, they actually come together. You see, let's just say sensation of pleasant. It is vedana, right? Sensation of pleasant. But the fact that you know it to be pleasant, you recognize it to be pleasant, that's sanya, right? And then if you were to say, oh, this is sanya, that is sankhara already. And in the whole thing is vijnana, it's an experience. So actually, every time you have an experience, you register one thing, but you forgot that you are registering it. The fact that you are registering is sanya. And you register a sensation, that sensation is vedana. And then if you say, oh, this is sanya, or oh, this is vedana, that is sankhara. And the package deal is vijnana. So if you ask me, do I experience it one at a time? You just know that you have experienced something. It's not that I've done this, then now I'm going to do this. And then it's not sequential. You just learn to recognize that they are all arising and falling away. And whatever that you accept, oh, this, that, it doesn't matter. It is rising and falling away. Okay? I will stress this again. Look out for wholesome and unwholesome. This is important. If it is a sensation and the craving arises, unwholesome. If it is a sensation, nothing happens, that's good. Equanimity is good. It means the clinging didn't come up. There is acceptance. So you are learning to recognize wholesome, unwholesome, and to preserve wholesome, let go of unwholesome. Okay?
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. How do we reconcile letting go of views and having views and pushing for achieving the objectives of work? I always struggle with that in the corporate world.
I know. As a layperson, I know this for myself. Jnana dasana this for myself. You see, the trick is not, at the end of the whole practice, you have no views. But we are far from that. Okay? We are still at a point in time when we are learning to let go, to accept, and not hanker after too many views. We are still at that stage, okay? Now, there are the kind of views that preserve harmony, that brings relief to another's suffering, that gives someone peace and equilibrium, mental balance. There are the views that lead to that kind of wholesome outcome. Then there are the views that lead to unhappy, painful, stressful outcome for everybody, not just for you and someone. It's not a zero-sum thing. I angry, you are happy. It's sometimes both ways suffer, because I have a view that caused me to be unhappy, and then I carry this anger and I fling it around and share with the world. Then my view caused pain for everyone. You have to differentiate between views that help, sustain, preserve, protect, nurture, those kind of views, versus the ones that are very harmful and very painful for yourself and for others. You differentiate that first. Don't talk about having no views. We haven't gotten there. Get to the wholesome views and constantly ask yourself, am I causing pain or am I bringing relief? If you are causing pain, then those views you must stop. Let it go. They are doing nobody any good. If the views really lead to people benefiting together, then you have wisdom. Feel free to have a bit more of those wholesome views, because it helps. What do you think we are doing? We are also sharing views. We are sharing Dhamma until you realize Dhamma is a view. But once you understand, then Dhamma is no longer the view that weigh you down. Why do you think the Buddha says when you cross the river or you cross the ocean, you have to let go of the Dhamma raft? It's actually letting go of views. Even views pertaining to Dhamma, eventually, if you really realize, you will let them go. Because all views are arisings, and all views have the potential to become sources of clinging. So anything that causes any source of clinging, we have to let them go. We have to let it be. So in lay life, understandable to have your views. Just make sure that they are wholesome, helpful, as I said, nurturing, healing, not destructive, not damaging, not the D's. Everything else is okay. Okay.
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. How do we use meditation to release the grief due to the loss of a parent?
The grief is the result of the attachment that we all have very instinctively. Attachment. And in order for attachment to drop, it will take time and it will take wise attention. It will take time and it will take wise attention. Yoniso manasikara. And what does that mean? So you can do two things. One is putting the right attention, and two is changing sanya, changing the way that my mind talks. So we do it like this. We remember the parent, there is a sense of attachment, the grief arises. So we say, my parent, I can't do anything for them now, they are gone. But I can still transfer merits, I can still do goodness, do good things in their memory. And if they don't need it, why are you feeling sorry for them? Why are you so attached? If they need it, this is the only thing you can do for them. We continue to do for them. And even if they don't need it, there are other past relatives, there are other beings out there with maybe some residual link. Continue to do goodness. You do it for them, you do it with them. You do it for yourself. And as you continue to do all these wholesome deeds, simple ones, even simple ones, like I'll give you an example of what is simple. You're on a bus, you see somebody come up, you think he needs the seat back more than you, you stand up, you give the seat to the person with all the kindness you can master, all the friendliness you can master, you just smile and say, please have this. In that moment, in your mind, share. Right at that simple act of sharing, just share. Feel good about it. You have, for yourself, created merits, created pureness, purity in the mind. And you feel good about it. You will feel good about it. This is a reducing of attachment. Reducing, it's a managing, it's a softening of the angst of the attachment. So any little thing that you can do, wholesome thing, you share, you give, you bring out the joy. And as you continue to do this, you are changing the conditions of your mind. You're reshaping your neurons, the wiring. And this reshaping will continue to help you feel better. So this is one part. You're talking about meditation, I'm talking about daily life. You keep doing this, you go into your meditation, you should have that softness, that gentleness. And then you will tell yourself, the first 5 minutes, the first 10 minutes, I will just watch this breathing. If I can preserve, if I can protect this meditation and this presence and this balance of mind, you will feel a little joy. Share. Transfer that merits, share the merits with your departed. So you give yourself incentive to sit. Incentive to sit, and the little, you transform a grief into something wholesome. Not easy, but can be done. Because you are saying, I'm doing it for them. I'm doing it so that they can feel better. I'm doing it so they can be proud of me. You say words like this, it actually helps you to feel better. Okay, the third one is, I talked about changing sanya, right? So you can also tell yourself, we have many lives, we have many people whom love, it comes and goes, it is just another loss. And life after life, there'll be all these losses. This is just the way things are. So if your mind can be lifted by this understanding, so be it, that's for you. Not everyone can have this as a lifting mechanism, but yours may be. So how you lift your mind, it really depends on an individual. Changing the sanya means using any of these words, any of these training to shift the way the mind talks. And it can be done. Okay?
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. Another question. How do you relate ānāpānasati's 16 steps to the jhanas? I guess it's not, I know people have said that, oh, the first one is the first jhana, the second is this. If your mind is, have these mental states, any of these mental states, at any of the level, that's where your jhanas are. Vitakka, vichara, piti, the mind that talks in the leashed way and circling around that very structured, careful, aware thinking. It's leashed. It's not let go and it's free flying all over the place. It's slowly constructed, sequential, systematic, and you are aware. Okay. And if that is happening, and then you start to feel pity, you start to feel the lightness, you start to feel the sensation of the mind settling down. And if that happens when you are doing the body, the breathing part of the body, right? That's your first ready. But let's say it didn't work and your mind starts to, you settle and then it starts to drift and then you happily go, okay, now I think I'll do it in the feeling. Then you're off already. So it's not body means one, then feeling means two, then mind means three. It's not like that.
You will know when you are very familiar with the mental states. In my view, typically, if you're doing it correct, you can move up the steps very fast. You can go from body to mind very fast, and then it settles and you are watching it very fast. You may not even realize that you are traveling that fast. So if you trying to peg it, I don't think it works like that. But this question, you should ask Dr. Ng, because she's the expert in ānāpānasati.
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. Could similar vein of jhana, could you please share your experience about nimitta before the jhanas? When you see the light, do you ignore it and continue to concentrate on the breath, or do you switch to focus on the light when it becomes brighter?
There is a, you go online, you go on the internet, and you type the word jhana, and then you type sutta, and you type nikayas, jhana, nikayas, and then you put commentaries, 𝗦𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏, okay? You type all these words. There is actually someone who did a tabulation online, 8 jhanas, a tabulation. What is mentioned in the sutta, put aside what's mentioned in 𝗦𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗧, put aside, alongside what is mentioned in the Abhidhamma. And you look at what is said, nimitta was never mentioned in the Nikayas in the way that it was mentioned in the commentaries and in Abhidhamma. Okay? Personally, I would do it strictly by the Nikayas, the Buddhist method, because when you talk about the commentaries and you talk about Abhidhamma, they are really the work of scholars and monks and practitioners, and some of them are not even meditated. I don't know. I shouldn't comment like this. I should say I really don't know. They are not original Buddha. Commentaries and Abhidhamma were starting to come together. It's an evolution thing, right? It took a while for these works to be consolidated into the way that you know it today. They were not original. They are not necessarily wrong. Okay? They are not necessarily wrong. Some of them are definitely correct and on track because they draw material from the Nikayas. But if you're not very familiar with the suttas, the Nikayas, and you are just going to plunge in and start using the material from these two sources, then there is a danger that if this particular material was never found in the sutta, you may not know, in which case you would be off track. I personally think that you should stay with the Nikayas, because at least that one we know traces its lineage back to the Buddha. And in that sense, you are on what I will consider safer ground. Of course, later on, when you are way more sophisticated, way more experienced, and you want to go and roam, that's your choice. But not when you are new to this, okay? Having said that, I will now answer your question directly. Nimittas, as I said, was never really addressed, not in the way of the jhanas and not in the way of the commentaries. The jhana mentioned in the Nikayas are not same, not identical to the jhana practice mentioned in the commentaries, 𝗦𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏. And the one mentioned in the commentaries will be discouraging, let's just say, will demoralize you, because it would seem that it's harder than, what's that Chinese word? 一步登天, but scaling the clouds. It's harder than scaling the clouds. And we're not talking about parachuting, coming down, and it's going up. The jhanas mentioned in the Nikayas are merely mental states that are conditionally arisen. That's all. When the mind meets the conditions, the jhanic states will start to arise, and you become very aware that the quality of the mind, the quality of concentration is exponentially different, is significantly different. How can it be anything else than the jhana that the Buddha talked about? Whereas the one that mentioned in the commentaries requires certain gymnastic by the mind. If the Buddha didn't impose those gymnastic capabilities, why go there? Why push it to that level of, that degree of mysticism? I don't see the necessity, because ultimately it is not jhana. Ultimately, it's this pañña. Ultimately, is the mind ready to observe the inner workings and processes without contaminating, without artificially corrupting your conclusion. That's the idea. Can you observe accurately and correctly along the line that he had prescribed? The aggregates rising and falling, the aggregates with the craving, the conditional arising of craving, and when there is no clinging, in those aggregates, you actually don't feel dukkha. Can you see it along this line? And having seen it along this line, are you then able to cultivate a disenchantment, letting go, a mental state of being able to accept and not prefer and not choose, being able to accept without judging? Are you able to cultivate a mental state like that? Accept, recognize, not hanker after something, you have no preferences, it's okay, let be. Is your mind able to operate like this naturally, without forcing it? And if you were to do this, it will help with this experience. And if you can do that, you will start to feel that you are not shackled. You have more control over happiness. Because you recognize the condition, you shape the condition. Happiness is a natural state. Feeling free is a natural state. Okay? So, you can see lights, it is possible. Yes, I know it is possible, but it is not a prelude to jhana. The jhanic mental states will arise, and then if the conditions are just right, the lights will appear. If the conditions are not the way it should be, then the lights don't appear. But it doesn't mean you don't have the jhanic states. The jhanic states are there, and the jhanic states are enough for the mind to be able to make these observations. Okay?
Thank you. There are 3 more questions from the same person.
Okay.
And maybe you have 5 minutes to answer them. In respect of contemplating using vipassana, could you please confirm that one could only do contemplation after ānāpānasati and not simultaneously?
Wow. No, it doesn't work like that. Ānāpānasati is ānāpāna, breathing in and out. So the object for you to anchor mindfulness is breathing. That's what it means. Anchoring your mindfulness. You see, the regular mind drifts. It's easily distracted, and after it is distracted, it doesn't even know that it got distracted. That's the thing. When you are distracted, you lose the mindfulness. You live, but you are not aware. Wrong word. You are living, but you didn't register it. You don't remember it. You are aware, but the awareness is not to the level where you can remember. So, when your awareness does not yield a registering enough to remember, you don't have mindfulness. That's what it means. Okay? You don't have sati. Don't use the English word, we use the Pali word. I repeat, if you have awareness, you know what's going on. I can remember so and so come in and so go out. But that awareness is not to the degree that you can recall easily. It means sati is not enough. There is some awareness, but it is not to the level of sati being present. That's what it means. Okay? And sati being present means if sati is present and you put in right sati, the right kind of sati, what it means is the mind automatically will go into the Dhamma, your aggregates, your conditional arising, your 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏, the impermanence, the dukkha, the nature in the impermanence is dukkha, in the nature of dukkha is anatta, and so on and so forth. Your mind automatically goes into mindfulness. That is right sati. If you don't have right sati, but you have sati, then you could have OCD only. Obsessive compulsive behavior, OCD. Because the mind see and cling, and cling all over the place. That is also sati, but that is miccha sati. Because in that sati, there is no Dhamma. If you are angry with someone, you cannot forget what the person said to you. That is sati on dosa, on 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, right? Sati on anger. That is also miccha sati, is wrong sati. You remember, but you didn't remember and let go. You remember and got angrier. So that is for sure miccha sati, wrong mindfulness, right? Wrong sati. So ānāpānasati means a mindfulness that is put onto breathing. Breathing is your anchor for mindfulness. Satipatthana anchors the sati on mind and body with Dhamma. You must always remember this. Mind and body, because you carry the body and mind everywhere you go, you anchor this understanding, you're anchoring an understanding of this mind and body on the Dhamma, so that you don't cling onto mind and body. Why you don't want to cling onto mind and body? Because all forms of clinging stems from the aggregates. All forms of clinging sits on the aggregates. You want to diminish clinging, you have to break the identification of the aggregates as an extension of you. Why is it that it's so important to break this extension of the aggregates, extension of you? Because the aggregates people can see arise and fall. But once you create a you, a self, to carry these aggregates, the self can be permanent as you want it to be. And once you see the self can be permanent, then what's wrong with clinging on to self? I can cling on to self. You ask me don't cling on to everything impermanent. I didn't cling on to the impermanent. I cling on to self. But the self is mind-made. You created the self to carry impermanence. You create permanence to carry impermanence. So can you see how delusion creates a problem? The self is mind-made, is created. Then this thing that is created is now carrying all the things which are not created. They are temporary arisings. So you bypass what is obviously temporary with a delusional idea. It's an idea. Then for those of you who say, yeah, but I feel the self, you feel your craving. You feel the craving, and the craving becomes the self. It is craving that feels dukkha. That's all. So any time you say that I feel a self, you are actually experiencing attachments. That's all. Attachments. And your aggregates. The aggregates, the Buddha says, you stare your aggregates, stare your aggregates. If you were to have a mind that is very clear, correct sati, right sati. In that clarity, because in that clarity, I stress, we are talking about a clarity with equanimity. What happens when you have equanimity? There is no clinging, right? In that clarity, you realize that the self disappears. If you can have a mind with the experience of non-self, there's no self, then it must tell you that self is fake. Because only something that is fake, not real, can be made real. What is real cannot be made gone. Do you understand? If it is not real, you can imagine it to be real. But when it is real, how do you make it disappear? Yet, when the mind is very equanimous, clearly aware and equanimous, that self can disappear. Because in the equanimity there is acceptance, there's no craving. When there is no craving, there is no self. That's all. Okay?
Thank you, Sis Sylvia. The last two are personal questions. Could you please share your experience if you have ever seen your past lives?
No.
The last question.
I will answer it a little differently. All these things talks about past lives and all, whatever that you see, and this is my policy, okay? I shouldn't say no, and then, you never see past life, It doesn't mean anything. It's just my position. And my position is like this. In the world of speculation, ideas, mind-made, delusions, and so on and so forth, the mind is perfectly capable of generating stories. It can create all kinds of things. If we, in our practice, if we are learning to let go of ideas and clinging to memories of this life, to me, it doesn't seem wise to identify with whatever that you experience or that you feel, and then say that this is my past life. If you remember what in some of the suttas, Dr. Ng has mentioned it a few times, the past don't identify it as yours. The future don't identify it as self. The past and the future of this life, you already learn not to identify too much. You want to go one life back, two life backs and all. To me, it doesn't make sense. So, whatever that you see, regardless of what you see, in my view, you have to tell yourself, whatever that is, it's over. I don't want to give it a story. Just let it go. Okay?
Thank you. Last question. If you have seen the Buddha during your wise attention, what questions will you ask the Buddha?
I am grateful, not ask the Buddha. If I see the Buddha during my wise attention, it means I'm seeing the Dhamma. If I'm seeing the Dhamma, it means the sense of joy, the sense of relief, the sense that this life has been worth living. it's overwhelming. So this is when you go, I am grateful for the blessings of being able to practice, having the time and the wisdom to practice, and the commitment and the resilience, you name it, all the lovely adjectives can appear, to practice and to grow. For me, that's the most beautiful. This is where you go, I'm grateful for the Dhamma. It's not a question. It will be a declaration. Okay?
Thank you so much, Sis Sylvia. Now we shall do the closing. We would like to share today's all the merits we have accumulated to the late Venerable 𝗏𝗏𝗦𝗏 Mahathero, who just passed away, and also, of course, to all devas and sentient beings. And the last one will be our sharing of merits with our departed relatives and friends. Okay, let's start sharing with all sentient beings.
𝗏𝗏𝗦𝗏 sampadam punya sampadam sabbe dewa anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya ētāvata-ca-āmehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe buddha anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya ētāvata-ca-āmehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya
Idang
me nyatidang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo idang me nyatidang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo idang me nyatidang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo.
We shall say a few words at the end for the end of service dedication.
I dedicate the merits which I have accumulated to the cultivation of my mind in order to bring happiness and benefits to all sentient beings. I dedicate the merits to my parents, children, spouse, relatives, friends, colleagues, and my adversaries, wishing them long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity. May we never part from the Triple Gem, and may we always walk the path towards enlightenment.
Closing homage. Let's pay homage to the Triple Gem.
Arahan Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamman Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sanwakasanho Sangham Namami Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thanks again, Sister Sylvia. And thank you, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, for joining us today.
To have knowledge and vision of reality as it is. Can I continue? Can I continue? Can I continue? Okay. Okay. You know,
Pause for 15 minutes and try to get to stabilize the internet connection. Sorry for the technical problem.
it's okay. Kanti. It's just the way things are. It's okay. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing is... Yeah? Can?
Wait, suddenly video ended.
Sorry? Okay. We have advertisement before we even start. Okay.
She's still doing something.
We are completely down, eh? Yeah, we will start from the beginning, not to worry. I also must start from the beginning because my brain has got disrupted. Okay, where we left off,
I wasn't even listening, you know.
This is meditation. Right? Anicca, anatta. Anicca, anatta, dukkha, arya satya. You know, we had it too good. We had it so good, right? Now that we are having difficulties, you realize the dukkha. Earlier on, we had it so good. Huh? There are people still there? Okay. Fortunately, today we don't have to rush off somewhere. We can just sit here and talk.
They want to drop off, let them drop off. You know what I mean? Some say they will see the recording.
Yeah.
They should have recording on these days. I think more peace. You know what? I spent like 3 hours and
This is really 𝗦𝗛𝗏𝗏. 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏. Hey, but this one is... See. Meditation landscape. Today we're going to talk about... Do you want me to do the testing? Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then now we will test alphabets. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. How?
Yeah, right. You got coming in.
Noble Eightfold Path.
Yes, we just made a winner.
So we're going to start again.
Yes.
Are we steady? Hi. What to do? This is nature, right? This is the nature of reality as is. There will always be this kind of hiccups. We even invent a name for it. It's called Murphy. He has a name. So how? Should I? Yeah, I know. It's all right. I mean, that's the way things are. It's okay. So should I start?
Wait. What I saw press screen.
Oh no, it is still not. I got jhāna now. Oh yeah, disappeared. No, this is slow motion. There's a lag.
There's a lag.
How?
See my online let them go, it was forgot. suggest this, that if it drops again, right, the recorded version goes up. Okay? You just make an announcement before the talk starts and you introduce again. You know what I'm saying? Then we just...
You want me to say?
No.
Say nothing?
Say nothing.
Yeah.
Good morning, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. We are back again, hopefully.